Pranam, Jai Janendra. We started the prayers as usual. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vajjayanam, Namo Loe Sabba Sahunam. Eso Panchanamukaro Sabba Pavapanasano, Manglanancha Sabve Simpadamam Havai Mangalam. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vajjayanam, Namo Loe Sabba Sahunam. Eso Panchanamukaro Sabba Pavapanasano Manglanancha Sabve Simpadamam Havai Mangalam. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Ujjayanam, Namo Loe Sabba Sahunam. Eso Panchanamukaro Sabba Pavapanasano Manglanancha Sabve Simpadamam Havai Mangalam. वीर सरसुरा सुरेंद्र महितो वीरंबुदा संस्कृता वीरेणा भियत स्वकर्म निचयो वीराय नित्यं नमः वीरा तीर्थमिदं प्रौतमतुलं वीरशिघोरं तपो वीरे श्रीधृति कीर्तिकान्ति निचय श्रीवीरभद्रं दिश कमठे धरणेन्द्र च शोचितं कर्म कुर्वति प्रभुस्थल्य मनोवृत्ति पार्श्वनाथ श्रीस्तु वः अंगूठे अमृत वसे लपति तणा भंडार श्री गुरु गौतम समरिये मनवांछित फलदातार. Welcome everybody to this class on Nav Tatva. We are on week 7, 8 and we started with the topic of Ajiv last week and we'll carry on with that topic today and we'll go further deeper into that subject. And as I mentioned last week, the whole purpose of learning Tattva, Nav Tatva, is to recognize who we are, meaning Jeev, and recognize the difference between Jeev and Ajeev, and ultimately understand the elements that help the Jeev to progress towards moksha and those elements which will impair its journey and push the Jeev backwards towards sansar. So understanding all those elements and how they interact is the purpose of learning Nav Tatva. It is also the basis on which the Jeev's spiritual progress depends, because the fundamental problem with us not progressing is our inability to grasp the truth and accept the truth, because without first recognizing the truth, accepting it, and having faith in it, all efforts to try and seek peace and happiness would end up with us perpetuating our sansar, because the efforts to seek happiness, to do good deeds without the basis of samyaktva just ends up with the Jeev forming more punya karma and extending its life from one life to another. Let me start sharing my slides. So the slides that were missing from last week I've incorporated into today's slides, and I will be sending this to Sandeep, and I've talked with him and he'll forward that to the class via WhatsApp, and he could do that with email as well. I'll just quickly go through the initial slides and then we'll carry on with the discussion from where we left last week. This is just reminder revision as usual. I hope you can all see the slides so that you can read them. Okay, just Jeev has the following qualities: Gnan, Darshan, Charitra, Tap, Virya, and Upyog. We also talked about Paryapti, Ahar, Sarir, Indriya, Swasoswas, Pasha, and Man. These are just summaries of what we discussed, extracted from a book on Tattva. So there was a further division about the 9 tattvas, and that division is based on understanding and focusing on how do you make use of the knowledge that you gain from studying this subject. So Jeev and Ajeev are Gnay, meaning worth knowing. So everything that is included in Nav Tatva is worth knowing because Jeev and Ajeev incorporates everything. Out of those, once you know that those elements which actually obstruct the progress of the soul, Pap, Ashrav, and Bandh, one understands that those are the elements that one needs to avoid, stay away from, recognize them, and not engage in them. So necessary to abandon or discard. Upadey, those elements which assist the progress of the soul towards moksha and which are therefore necessary to embrace, to accept and implement in our life as punya, samvar, nirjara, and moksha. We also understood that when we talk about Jeev and out of those 9 elements which would be included in Jeev, we said that Jeev, Samvar, Nirjara, and Moksha would be considered to be included in Jeev because they are directly related to the soul and its emancipation. And I pointed out that under this classification, Punya is not included in Jeev because ultimately Punya is also obstructive towards the soul's journey to moksha. Therefore, Punya is included in Ajeev Tattva. So, Ajeev, Punya, Pap, Ashrav, and Bandh. So, last week we spent some time in refocusing on why the study of Nav Tattva is important. Then we came to the topic of ajiv, meaning that which is non-life. I'll come back to the few slides that are here, but let's go down to this particular slide, which is a summary of understanding all the 6 dravyas. So we talked about dharmastikai, adharmastikai, akasastikai, pudgalastikai, jiv astikai, jivastikai. That is what we have learned so far, and kal meaning time. Now, the way these dravyas are considered and classified in the way they are studied is from 6 different points of view. It's dravyathi, meaning what is that particular dravya. Kshetrathi, meaning how far or where in the universe is it spread and what sort of space does it occupy. How long or what is the duration of its existence, meaning when did it appear and when will it not be there. So there is only one point there, is anadi anant. Anadi meaning that which has no beginning, and anant meaning that which has no end. So all these elements have been there for infinity in the past. There is no beginning for any one of them, and there is no ending, meaning they will always be, they have always been, and they are currently always there. We also, we'll come back to this because these are very important aspects to understand, and there is the last slide again summarizes all this. So dravya, kshetra, kal, and bhav, meaning what is the fundamental nature of these dravyas. So if you can see this particular table, apart from Pudgalastikai, all the other dravyas are arupi, meaning that they are not visible to the eye, meaning you cannot actually see them. So they are all arupi except Pudgalastikai, and everything that we see around us is visible because it is either entirely composed of Pudgal or it is a mixture of Pudgal and Jeev, meaning all life which is occupying a body is a combination of Pudgal that forms the body and the Jeev that resides in that body to give it life. What is the function of these dravyas? Or what are the virtues, or what is the nature of these 6 dravyas? So here, if you look, this table says Dharmastikai is Gati Sahayak, meaning it allows motion. Adharmastikai Sthiti Sahayak. Sthiti means to stay still, means to rest, to not move. So adharmastikai is the element or the dravya which allows bodies to stay still. Akash istikai is that element which allows other elements to stay within it. Avkash dayak. Pudgalistika has the property of Purangalan, meaning it comes together and separates. Jivastikai has the qualities that we studied earlier. Gnanadi, meaning Gnan, Darshan, Charitra, Virya, Tap, Upyog. Those are the qualities, virtues of Jivastikai. And Kar is Vartana. Vartana meaning Kar is what qualifies the movement of all these other elements with time. So basically, Jeev and Pudgal, past, present, and future, Vartana. And Sansthan, meaning the shape or where it is spread. If you look at this, Jivastikai Sansthan is Deha Kruti, meaning the Jeev occupies or is the shape of the body that it is at the time occupying. Deha Kruti. So if we look at an ant, then the Jeev is occupying or has shaped in the form of an ant. If you look at a human being, the Jeev is present in the whole body and therefore has the shape of a Dev, of a human being. Similarly, if it is a Dev, if it is a Narak, then all those bodies have got Jeev throughout that particular body. So, Dehani Akruti Jevu. If you look at Akash, it says Ghan Golak, meaning that Golak means round, that the whole of space is a huge ball, but however, space is divided into two parts. One is Lok Akash and the other is Alok Akash. Lok Akash is in the shape of a man standing with legs apart and two arms on the side, the diagram that you have seen many times. The Sansthan or the shapes of Pudgalastikai is something that we will come to very briefly today, but in more depth in the next class. And Kar, time, has no shape. Okay. Let's go back. At this point, are there any questions? Do people understand these elements? I'm going to stop sharing for a minute.
Ajitbhai,
Yeah.
I'd like you to explain Sansthan again and also Akash Sekai,
Okay.
please.
Okay. So we will come to that further along. So we will look at that and we'll briefly describe the Sansthan of Pudgalastikai. Okay. Is that Hasmukh Bhai?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll come to that in a minute. Any,
So the word gunta or vartana.
yeah, Vartana in terms of time. Again,
Okay.
we will need to qualify that because time is divided into and the smallest measure of time and then expanding on to uh, bigger and bigger uh, durations. But Vartana meaning existence, and again, that is looked at in a different context, and that part of how the time is described in that, so card is described in that, is actually quite complicated, and I'm not going to go into the depths of that, but we will be talking about time in a future lesson of card, and beginning from, say, uh, the smallest unit of time, samay, and going up to palyopam, sagropam, card chakra, uh, Pudgal Paravartan card, all those things, and we'll come to that. So we won't be discussing all that at this time. So we're going to be taking one element at a time as we go along. But as far as the overall understanding is concerned, Dharmastikai, Adharmastikai, and Akash are simple enough to understand. We get into a bit more detail with Pudgalastikai and with Kar. And G, we spent some time, but we'll be coming back to that in more and more detail later on. So, yes, I'm glad you're anticipating the, but we will go into the details of all those elements as we go along.
It's just that if I understand what these words mean, like the other one is gunsa, then I can start putting it into context, what you're saying.
Yeah, okay. So we'll come to that. Yeah,
Ajitbhai,
yeah,
uh, it's Nick here.
yeah.
We are using the word element.
Mm-hmm,
This might be my ignorance,
mm-hmm.
but I always think of element as material things, like when we look in science.
Yeah, yes,
And when we say car, time has no space or it's not a
no,
tangible thing.
no.
So are we using element as loosely or?
We are using element loosely. We are not, I mean, in the same context as it is used in chemistry. So the all the basic elements that we talk about, hydrogen, oxygen, uh, gold, silver, things like that. We are not talking about that. But dravya, meaning the six essential things that compose or are present in the universe that everything else is made of. So, for example, in that context, if you are looking at material elements, then material elements are part of Pudgal. And that is as far as scientific sort of discussion goes. As far as I'm aware, there is no equivalent to in English describing um the dravyas like dharmastika and adharmastika. But what I mentioned last time was that if you go into the depths of physics, I have a vague understanding that the description may fit something that is described in the string theory. And there was a time many, many years ago when, if you read the basic books of physics, then uh, there is speculation on the elements. And I think ether was something that was being mentioned. So ether is, to my mind, that to an extent described that which allows bodies to move. So something similar to thermastikai. But the elements as described in chemistry are not what I'm using the term here for. And there may be a better translation of those elements, those dravyas. And if somebody is aware of what other English translations of Nav Tatva or Tattvarth Sutra actually, what words they use to describe this, I'll be grateful. If Bharat Bhai or Hasmukh Bhai, of a different word that better describes this, that'll be useful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just one comment.
Yeah.
The you mentioned string theory last week as well.
Mhm.
I think what that demonstrates is interchange between energy and motion.
And energy and motion.
Yes. So basically, it's not showing these tattvas as it is, but it's um, just shows the interchange between the energy and motion, as far as I can understand.
Okay.
I've done basics about that. I've done engineering physics,
Mhm.
but not. I just done that basic. But
Okay.
this is what I understand.
Okay, Sandeep, doesn't it describe uh, the transition of matter and that which facilitates the movement of matter or energy, where it doesn't actually uh, it's just trying to
No,
describe.
that's
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, that's basically, yeah, the movement. But like as you can see from the atoms, if they vibrate, you can get motion from there, and when they vibrate, you get energy as well. So that's how interchange happens. So that's how it basically, like elastic, you just stretch it, you get energy from potential energy from there, and when you release it, you get a motion from that. So there's an interchange between energy and motion.
Okay.
So that demonstrates that basically it doesn't show anything about this, as far as I can understand,
Okay.
anything about these dravya, these tattvas.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So my impression was that there's, if you go into the depth of things, then the way it's actually extended into a better understanding of physics, there is a hint that they may be including something which matches the dravyas that is talked about, but I'm probably wrong.
They haven't found.
No, yeah. I mean, these are rupee dravyas, so there is no material presence there. So these are only there in the knowledge of Keval Gnani Tirthankar Paramatmas, and that is how it is described, the nature of the world we live in, nature of the
Yes,
universe. Yeah,
yes. As you said, 5 out of 6 are not visible to
yeah,
pi.
yeah,
So I mean, they probably don't even know about it, I
yeah,
suppose.
yeah. Okay, okay. So I'm going to share again. Okay. Okay. Hasmukh Bhai, we will come to the answers as we go along here. Dharmastika and Adharmastika, these two non-material elements are present throughout the Lok Akash. When Jeev and Pudgal move within the Lok Akash, Dharmastika is the enabler that makes it possible. When Jeev and Pudgal stay still in the Lok Akash, Adharmastika is the enabler that makes that possible. It is important to understand that all the processes of the Jeev and Pudgal in all its forms, which involve movement or staying still, need the presence of Dharmastika and Adharmastika. So if you look at the processes, meaning words as they are spoken and how they travel, so that is possible because Dharmastika is present in the universe. Beyond Lokakash, where there is Alokakash, because Dharmastika and Adharmastika do not exist, then bodies cannot move out of because Dharmastika and Adharmastika do not exist outside Lokakash. Nothing can move beyond Lokakash. Therefore, when souls go to moksha, they right to the end of the universe, that is Lokakash, and stop there. Because it's impossible for any movement of anything beyond Lokakash. So, because Dharmastika and Adharmastika are not present in Alokakash. All space outside the Lokakash, the Alokakash is therefore completely empty, and this space is infinite. Now, the shape of the Jain universe, if you look at this diagram, right at the top, it shows Siddhshila, that is the abode of the liberated beings, meaning those who have gone to moksha, all the souls which have achieved Keval Gnan and then ultimately left their body. Below that, we got Devlok, of the abode of the demigods or devs and all heavenly beings. The middle abode, so Urdhvalok, Madhyalok. Madhyalok is middle level, humans and animals. And below that, we got Narak, abode of the Jeeves who are in Narak. And below the Madhyalok, that space that you see as a triangle is 7 Rajulok. We will discuss that briefly at some time in the future. And the space above that is also 7 Rajulok. The space in the middle, where you got that shape of a 6-sided structure there. So it is actually the shape. The space in the middle, I think, is about 5 Rajulok. So all that space is enclosed in that particular shape, and that is called Lokakash. And here, the top we got Lokakash and mentioned there within that shape. And beyond that, we got Alokakash, that is space outside the universe.
Sorry, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Going back to the diagram.
Yeah.
We had the middle part,
Mm-hmm.
the middle level.
Yeah.
And that's where human beings are.
Yeah.
Okay, and so in Lokakash, we said that's where the movement or Dharmastika and Adharmastika is, but not in the middle level.
No, throughout that. So that's included in the in the that whole shape. So the middle level, the
Everything
upper
up to the
level,
Lokakash
yes,
has
that is
Dharmastika, Adharmastika.
yes.
Anything above Lokakash, there isn't.
Anything outside Lokakash. That arrow that is pointing on the left-hand side of the diagram, which says Lokakash space,
Mhm.
that is indicating the whole shape, not just that top part. It's indicating the whole space. that whole shape that you got with a man, like a man standing with two legs apart. So those are that's the bottom part.
Okay, okay, okay. So it includes the
The middle,
Alok space,
yes,
the middle level, and then Lokakash.
yes, it includes the Devlok, the Naraklok, and the middle. So
Okay, okay,
Urdhvalok, Madhyalok, and Adholok.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So it includes all of it, and the Dharmastikai and Adharmastikai are present within that shape, which is Lokakash. They are absent in that space, which is outside that shape. Okay? Nothing exists outside that space. Now, Dharmastikai, Adharmastikai, Lokakash, and Jeev have countless Asankhya Pradesh, and they have the same number of Asankhya Pradesh. So ultimately, Jeev contracts and expands. And I mentioned last time that the Jeev has the capacity to expand to the ends of the universe and occupy the whole of the universe. And that happens when the Jeev actually does what is called Skevli Samudgat at the end of the time when the Jeev goes to moksha. Just before that, the Jeev can form that particular shape in as a means of equalizing the remaining aghati karma to all end at the same time. But correct me if I'm wrong there. So Dharmastika and
That's
Adharmastika.
correct.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's correct.
Yeah. So Dharmastikai, Adharmastikai, and Lokakash and Jeev, they all have Asankhya Pradesh, and they all can occupy that that whole space within Lokakash. Now, all the elements that we are studying are described and studied from the following aspects. Dravya means substance, Kshetra means space or distribution, Kal meaning time, duration, Bhav means nature, Gun means qualities, and Sansthan means size and shape. So, Asmukh, your question about Sansthan is something that we are coming to in a minute. So, Dharmastikai is one, meaning even though it is composed or it is described as being formed by Asankhya Pradesh, the Pradesh, meaning parts of it, never separate from the whole. So, in effect, what this says, Dravyati Ekche, meaning it is one whole unit. Similarly, Adharmastika is one whole unit. Akashastikai is one whole unit because no parts of it actually separate from the whole ever. Pudgalastikai is infinite, anant, and it can be subdivided and separated into various different sized bodies. The smallest indivisible particle of Pudgal is called Parmanu, and that can exist on its own. No parts of Dharmastikai, Adharmastikai, and Akasastikai exist separately from the whole. But Pudgalastikai can exist in its smallest part, in bigger parts, and in combination of various kinds. Jivastikai, individually, there are an infinite number of souls, Jeev, and Kal, meaning time, is also Anant, meaning there was no beginning and there will not be any end. If you see this table, it says that Kal is limited to Adhidvip, meaning where the middle part, which goes straight up. So if you look at Madhyalok, now this diagram is not necessarily representative in the size. Siddhshila is diametrically 45 lakh yojans. The size of Adhidvip, meaning 2.5 dvips, at the center of Madhyalok, meaning Jambudvip, Lavan Samudra, Katki Khand, the Samudra surrounding it, and half of the Puskaravarth Dvip that surrounds that second ocean forms the 2.5 dvips, and the total width of that is also 45 lakh yojans. Because when a soul goes to moksha, it will go to moksha from within that Adhidvip and go straight up to the same vertical point on Siddhshila. Beyond that, any life that exists outside will not actually go to moksha from anything outside that Adhidvip. So it will actually move straight up. So that's what I'm saying, is that in terms of the representation here, this doesn't actually, it is not to scale. So don't mistake this size in the middle as Madhyalok going straight up to Siddhshila as the whole size of the Madhyalok. The size of the Siddhshila is 45 lakh yojans, and the size of Adhidvip is 45 lakh yojans. Now let's go into a bit more detail that will hopefully answer Hasmukh Bhai's question. ધર્માસ્તિકાય દ્રવ્યથી એક જ છે, ક્ષેત્રથી સમગ્ર લોકાકાશ પ્રમાણ છે, કાળથી અનાદિ અનંત છે, ભાવથી વર્ણ ગંધ રસ સ્પર્શ અને શબ્દ રહિત અરૂપી છે, ગુણથી ગતિ સહાયક ગુણવાળું છે અને સંસ્થાનથી લોકાકૃતિ તુલ્ય છે. એટલે લોકની આકૃતિ, the shape that we just talked about, એના જેવું છે. Adharmastika is also similar, meaning દ્રવ્યથી સંખ્યાથી એક, ક્ષેત્રથી સમગ્ર લોકાકાશ પ્રમાણ છે, કાળથી અનાદિ અનંત, ભાવથી વર્ણ ગંધ રસ સ્પર્શ અને શબ્દ રહિત, એટલે વિધાઉટ વર્ણ ગંધ રસ સ્પર્શ, meaning color, smell, taste, touch, and sound. It doesn't have any of those qualities, therefore it's arupi. And gunthi sthiti sahayak. So adharmastikai helps for bodies to stay still. Akash dravyathi ek che, meaning it is a whole, and as I just said, no parts of it actually separate from the whole. Kshetrathi lok alok praman che, meaning it exists within lok and outside lok akash as well. So akashastikai is divided into lok akash and alok akash. કાળથી અનાદિ અનંત છે, ભાવથી વર્ણાદિ રહિત અરૂપી છે. So it is also without any material visibility. Gun thi avkash dan gun varo che, meaning it is that which gives space for bodies to exist. Sansan thi ghan nakkar goda jevi akruti varo che. So the whole of space is actually like a sphere. But the space which is in the middle, that is we call Lokakash, has got that peculiar space. The space outside that surrounds it and the two together actually have the shape of Ghan Nakkar Goda, meaning like a sphere. Pudgalastikay Dravyati Anant che, meaning it has got infinite parts. Kshetrathi Samagra Lokma Thasi ne bharela che, meaning throughout Lokakash, it is the Lokakash is packed with all kinds of Pudgal. Karthi Anadi Anant che, meaning there was never a time when Pudgal did not exist, and there will never be a time when Pudgal will not exist. Bhavthi Varna Gandh Ras Sparsh and Sabda Yuk Hoathi Rupi che. So it has got Varna meaning color, Gandh meaning smell, Ras meaning taste, Sparsh meaning texture, and a Sabda meaning sound. Therefore, it is visible in its smallest indivisible particle. So when we say that it is packed throughout the universe, it's all around us. But because it is so small, even though it has all these qualities, because it is so small, we cannot actually see it. And it's only visible by the knowledge of a Kevali or a Tirthankar, Keval Gnani, including Tirthankar Paramatma. ગુણથી પૂરન ગલન સ્વભાવવાળો વિવિધ પરિણામોવાળો છે અને સંસ્થાનથી પરિમંડલાદિ પાંચ આકૃતિવાળો છે. Now, સંસ્થાનથી પરિમંડળાદિ, so in terms of Pudgal, Asmukbhai, there are different shapes in which Pudgal exists. And there are 5 different shapes that are described here. One is Bangadi Jevu God, meaning like a ring. Second is Thadi Jevu God, meaning not like a ring, meaning substance on the outside and a hollow in the middle, but like a thali, a solid circle, Thadi Jevu God. The third shape, Parimandaladi. So if you look at that here, it says Pudgalastikai Mandaladi Panch. Sansthan is Mandaladi Panch. So it's basically the shape. So Sansthan for Dharmastika is Lokakash, that shape of the Lokakash. Adharmastikai is the shape of Lokakash. Akashastikai is Ghan Golak. So as you just described, this is spherical. And Pudgalastika is Mandaladi. So 1 like a ring, 2 like a thali, 3 like Tran Khuna Varu, meaning like a triangle, like a triangular shape, 4 like Char Khuna Varu, meaning like a square or 4-side square or a rectangle, and 5 like Lambu, Lambu meaning just a straight line. So Pudgalastika exists in these 5 different mandal shapes. Okay, when depending on how much detail there is in this Nav Tatva Prakaran, we'll go into the details of that when we come to that particular chapter. So for the moment, we will leave that, and hopefully, Hasmukh, you got some understanding of what is meant here in terms of Sansthan. I hope that answers your question.
It does, and especially when he talked about the Jivastika and it mentioned Dehakruti. Now that perfectly explained the shape of the body.
Yes. Right.
So yes, now it's clear. I understand. Thank you.
Okay. જીવાસ્તિકાય દ્રવ્યથી અનંત છે, ક્ષેત્રથી સમગ્ર લોકમાં ઠાંસી ઠાંસીને રહેલા છે. So throughout the universe, it is like Pudgal, completely packed with Jeev as well. Okay. કાળથી અનાદિ અનંત છે. There is no beginning, there will not be any end. ભાવથી વર્ણાદિ રહિત અરૂપી, meaning in its pure state, Jeev is arupi, but in its state of its combination with Pudgal, it obviously occupying a body, it becomes rupi in that sense. So we are all visible. All life around us is visible because it is a combination of Jeev and Pudgal, meaning Jeev has formed a body according to its karma, and it occupies that particular body for the duration of its Aisha karma in that particular gati or that particular life form. Bhavthi Varanadi Rahit, arupi, meaning Jeev in its pure state. So in Moksha, on Siddh Shila, the Jeevs are arupi. ગુણથી જ્ઞાન દર્શન ચારિત્ર તપ વીર્ય ઉપયોગ જ્ઞાન દર્શન આદિ ગુણ યુક્ત છે અને સંસ્થાનથી તે શરીર રૂપે વિવિધ આકૃતિ રૂપ છે. કાળ દ્રવ્યથી અનંત ક્ષેત્રથી અઢી દ્વીપ પ્રમાણ. We'll go into some detail here from what's described here. કાળથી અનાદિ અનંત, ભાવથી વર્ણાદિ રહિત, meaning it is also non-material. Arupi, meaning you cannot see time as such. અને ગુણથી વર્તનાદિ પર્યાય રૂપ, meaning વર્તન, meaning bodies or time moving from past, present, future. So when the current moment is finished, then in the next moment, the current moment is atit, meaning that which has passed, and the moment that has not yet appeared is the future, meaning bhavishya. So vartman, bhutkal, and bhavishyakal. But in essence, kal exists in the moment. And if you look at how do you still your mind, so in terms of our sadhana, in terms of, say, samayik, in terms of coming back to within ourselves, forgetting about the past, about the future, and staying in the moment, samay or kal is staying in the moment. So from that context, vartana, meaning I am, and I am here now, I am here in this moment. The moment this moment ends, it becomes the moment that has gone. The moments that are not here at the moment are in the future. So in terms of existence, only the current, vartana, the current exists. Now, let's just discuss some of this and then we'll sit down and talk a bit more. Pudgal has the quality of Puran and Galan. Puran means to come together or join. Now, all material has this basic quality, that it joins up and it separates. It joins up and it separates. It joins up with other of those smallest elements Parmanu, and it forms larger units, and we'll come to the description of those units, Vargana as they are called, and what the different when Parmanu comes together, what the different sizes of units are called, Skand, Desh, Vargana, and what are the different types of Vargana. We will come to that. Pudgal is the only Dravya which is Rupi, meaning Rupi means visible or capable of visibility. All the other Dravyas are Arupi, meaning they cannot be seen. Time is thought of from two aspects, relative, Vyavar, and absolute, Nishchay. We'll focus on the relative aspect only. And I know, Hasmukh, you want to go into some more detail here. Let me just go into an introduction to that. We will come back to this maybe in a few more weeks. But the 13th Gatha of Nav Tatva Prakran says this Samay, Avli, Muhurt, Divas, Paksh, Mas, Varsh, Palyopam, Sagropam, Utsar Pini and Avsar Pini એને કાળ કયો છે. અતિ સૂક્ષ્મ કાળ કે જેના કેવલી ભગવંત પોતાની જ્ઞાન શક્તિથી પણ બે ભાગ જોઈ ન શકે તેવો નિર્વિભાજ્ય ભાગરૂપ કાળ તે સમય કહેવાય છે. So it's important to understand that the smallest part of time is called samay, and the way it is described here is that even a Kevali Bhagwant with his infinite, with the soul's infinite knowledge, cannot divide that samay further. So the smallest part or element of time is that which is absolutely basic. And that is something even a Kevali Bhagwant with the infinite knowledge cannot divide further. જેમ પૂદગલ દ્રવ્યનો સૂક્ષ્મ વિભાગ પરમાણુ છે તેમ કાળનો અતિ સૂક્ષ્મ વિભાગ સમય છે. આંખના એક પલકારામાં પણ અસંખ્ય સમય વ્યતીત થઈ જાય છે. So even in the time that it takes to blink, a countless number of samays would have gone. It says અતિ જીર્ણ વસ્ત્રને ઝડપથી કાઢતા એક તંતુથી બીજા તંતુ સુધીમાં જે કાળ લાગે છે અથવા એક જ તંતુ ફાટતા જે કાળ લાગે છે તે પણ અસંખ્ય સમય પ્રમાણ છે. If you are sort of pulling two ends of a very thin cloth and pulling them apart, like those of you who may have got some familiarity with the clothes trade in the past, if you went to shops to buy cloth, then the shopkeeper would ask you how many meters you want, and from the roll they would cut one bit at the end of the length that you wanted. Say if you wanted 1 meter, they would cut a bit of it at 1 meter and then pull the two ends apart and it would just tear. So what is being described here, the time it takes for the tear to move from one thread to the next thread asankhya samay would have passed. Another way it is described is that kamadani ati komad so pankhdi ne. See, if you lay very, very soft pankhdi of kamad, these thinnest petals of a kamad, and put them one on top of each other and create a pile. If a very strong person holding a very sharp spear and he throws that at speed through those 100 petals, then the time it takes for the spear to actually go through one petal, even that time is asankhya samay kala lage. So just giving us an example of the smallest indivisible unit of time that we are talking about. We'll come into more details of this division here. Now, all these divisions are what is called Vyavhar Kal. Utsar Pini e Chadto Kal and Avsar Pini te Uttato Kal. And we'll come to more details of that when we come to this particular topic. Now, further, it says here that Vyavhar Kal and Nishchay Kal em Kal બે પ્રકારનો છે. તેમાંનો જે અઢીદ્વીપ અને બે સમુદ્ર જેટલા 45 લાખ યોજન વિષ્કંભ વિસ્તારવાળા મનુષ્ય ક્ષેત્રમાં ચંદ્ર અને સૂર્ય આદિ જ્યોતિષ વિમાનો ભ્રમણ ગતિ કરે છે તે ભ્રમણ કરતા સૂર્યાદિની ગતિ ઉપરથી જે કાળનું પ્રમાણ બંધાયેલું છે તે વ્યવહાર કાળ ઉપર કયા પ્રમાણે છે. So within that central part of 45 lakh yojan where the heavenly bodies, meaning the Jyotish Chakra, the sun and the moon, they move in that space. Time is measured in the above way, like Samay, Aulika, Murat, Divas, Pakhwadyu, Mas, Varsh, Palyopam, Sagropam, Utsarpini and Ausarpini, all that is Vyavhar Kal, and that is measured within the confines of the Adhidvip, including the oceans in between, which has got a total diameter of 45 lakh yojans. તે વ્યવહાર કાળ ઉપર કયા પ્રમાણે સમય અવલિકા ઇત્યાદિ ભેદવાળો છે. જ્યોતિષ કરંડક ગ્રંથમાં કહ્યું છે જેની ગતિ વિશેષ વડે બધા કાળ ભેદો ઉત્પન્ન થયા છે તે જ્યોતિષ ચક્રને શ્રી હરેન્દ્ર ભગવંતોએ લોક સ્વભાવથી ઉત્પન્ન થયેલી ગતિવાળું કહ્યું છે. એ વ્યવહાર કાળના વિશેષ ભેદ સંક્ષેપમાં આ પ્રમાણે છે. So it goes into quite a lot more detail there. Now, the other way in which Kal or time is looked at is વર્તન આદિ પર્યાય તે નિશ્ચય કાળ કહેવાય. વર્તના પરિણામ ક્રિયા પરત્વ તથા ઉપરત્વ એમ 5 પ્રકારનો છે. વર્તના પરિણામ ક્રિયા પરત્વ તથા અપરત્વ એમ 5 પ્રકારનો છે. ત્યાં સાદી શાંત, સાદી અનંત, અનાદિ શાંત અને અનાદિ અનંત એ 4 પ્રકારની સ્થિતિમાંથી કોઈ પણ એક સ્થિતિ એ વર્તવું, હોવું, થવું, રહેવું, વિદ્યમાન હોવું તે વર્તના પર્યાય છે. Meaning just to exist. In absolute terms, નિશ્ચય કાળ or in absolute terms, time is looked at in this way of વર્તવું, meaning to exist, to be. In another way, પ્રયોગથી એટલે જીવ પ્રયત્નથી અને વિશ્રસાથી સ્વભાવથી જ દ્રવ્યમાં નવા જૂનાપણાની જે પરિણતિ થવી તે પરિણામ પર્યાય અથવા દ્રવ્યનો અને ગુણનો જે સ્વભાવ સ્વત્વ તે પરિણામ છે. So time is also looked at in this other context of પરિણામ, and it is by effort, જીવ પ્રયત્નથી અને વિશ્રસાથી એટલે સ્વભાવથી જ દ્રવ્યમાં નવા જૂનાપણાનું. So as we see ourselves that we are born and we are young, and as we get older, our bodies change. We become teenagers and then young people and then middle age, and then we approach old age, and then finally the visible changes that occur in our bodies. Ultimately, all that changes. So towards death. So all the changes that we see with time. So in some ways, you can look at time in that context as well. So those things are described in Nishchay Card. Again, we won't go into the details of that today. We will come back to this. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and let's just spend a bit more time discussing anything that you might want to. That is basically a visual stop tour, and we are trying to learn what Nav Tatva Prakran describes Ajiv in those terms. And next week, we will start with a bit more understanding of Pudgal. We'll probably spend about 2-3 weeks on Pudgal. And then we will go into the...
Ajitbhai,
yeah. Go on.
I'm going to ask some questions.
Yeah.
This is purely my very ignorance. I'm finding this very difficult. So the question might be very silly what I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah.
The first thing is, one thing you said, I don't know if I understood it correctly. You said that even Aryans can't describe time.
You can't describe or can't divide time in anything smaller than a samay. So the samay is the smallest particle. So what it is trying to say is that if somebody was asking what is the smallest unit of time, and we start off with seconds and milliseconds and things like that. Now, even a millisecond is not the smallest unit of time. What it is saying here is that the smallest unit of time, which is even beyond the ability of a Kevalgnani to further subdivide, is called Samay.
Then that shatters everything I've believed.
Meaning?
I thought Kevalgnanis had infinite knowledge.
They do. But this is describing the nature of things. So beyond a samay,
okay,
if you are looking at the smallest unit of time, so it describes here that in the time it takes to blink,
okay,
a sankhya samay has elapsed.
Sure. Okay.
So in terms of the our imagination or ability to measure anything,
Mm-hmm.
our ability to measure anything is very, 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 very limited, because we cannot go on to measure the length of a samay. And it says that the length of a samay is something that is impossible to measure. And so in terms of describing the smallest unit of time, which is samay, it says that that is where the infinite knowledge divides the smallest unit or brings the smallest unit of time, and that infinite knowledge describes that smallest unit of time as a samay. So another way of looking at it,
Okay.
what it is saying is that it's describing the smallest unit of time as a samay, and that is what a Keval Gnani Tirthankar Paramatma would know, and we would know when we achieve that state.
Okay. Okay. So sorry. Okay. That's sort of putting it in a better way.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one way of describing it, is that it cannot be further subdivided even by a Keval Gnani. Therefore, what it means is that as far as infinite knowledge and total knowledge is concerned, that is the smallest unit of time,
Mm.
as described by total knowledge. So
Now,
if somebody was asking us what is the smallest unit of time, it is samay. Can you explain that to me in terms of units that I understand? So seconds, milliseconds, then there is no name for it except samay. It actually goes on to say avlika. So the next unit of time that we are talking about is avlika. And I'll just describe to you what an avlika is described here as. અતિ સૂક્ષ્મ કાળનું નામ એક સમય છે. એવા અસંખ્ય સમયોની એક અવલિકા થાય છે. અસંખ્ય સમયની, meaning a countless number of samay, means એક અવલિકા.
so
And
we don't understand it, but
Yeah.
there is time which is avlika,
Yeah.
which is many samay.
Yeah, asankhya, meaning
Described to us.
yeah. So it is beyond counting.
Okay, fine. Biju, now again, maybe it's just me adding up 2 and 2 and coming up with 7.
Mhm.
We said for dharmaskai or adharmastikai to exist, we need 2 ingredients. Jeev and Pudgal.
No. For Jeev and Pudgal to move, we need Dharmastika and Adharmastika. Meaning Jeev and Pudgal cannot move outside Lokakash, because there is no Dharmastikai or Adharmastikai outside Lokakash. So it is with respect to movement. Dharmastika enables movement, Adharmastika enables bodies to stay in one
Yeah.
place.
So what we're saying is, for movement to happen,
Mhm.
there has to be 2 ingredients.
Yes, Dharmastika and Adharmastika.
Or Pudgal and Jeev hoy,
Ah.
then you have the benefit of dharmastikai or adharmastikai.
No, Pudgal and Jeev can move. Okay.
That Pudgal and Jeev need to combine.
No,
For
no. Even Jeev moves from, say, for example, when my life ends, my Jeev, my soul, with its other bodies, the karmic body and other things, will move from this life and take up abode in my next life, wherever it is, and it could be anywhere in the universe.
Okay.
And my
But what-
Jeev will move from this body the moment my life ends, and within a very, very short time, it will have occupied. So even before we recognize that the person has died, the soul has left and already gone and occupied the next birth, or started forming the body for the next life. And it
So
could
the-
be billions
so
of
the-
miles away. Yeah.
So the migration from one Jeev, one Pudgal to a second Pudgal,
One body, one,
from one body to another body,
yeah.
and is body the same as Pudgal? Can
Yeah, the body is, our bodies are a combination I mean, our bodies are formed out of Pudgal. We
Okay.
consume food, the body,
So,
yeah.
so what we said was જીવ અને પુદ્ગલ ને
Mhm.
મૂવ કરવા માટે ધર્મસ્તિકાય અધર્મસ્તિકાય
ની જરૂર છે. Yeah.
જે જરૂર છે.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's when I was thinking
Uh-huh.
કે આપણે કે લોક આકાશમાં this is what happens.
હા, બરાબર.
અને this is what I said when I'm adding up two and two, I may be coming up with 7. કે આપણે મોક્ષની વાત કરીએ ત્યાં પૂતગલ નથી હોતું, ખાલી જીવ હોય છે.
No.
નહીં?
જીવ શરીર વગર હોય છે. પણ એ જ જગામાં જેમ આપણે કહ્યું કે પૂતગલ આખા લોક આકાશમાં ઠાસી ઠાસીને ભર્યું છે. So other Pudgal bodies, Pudgal means material, is packed there even in that space. But the Jeev exists there independently. It is not combined with any body. This Jeev.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, okay, it's independent of a body. ખાલી જીવ જ છે without the body.
Without the body, but in the same space, material, Pudgal, is also coexisting.
No, Pudgal is coexisting, but they're independent too.
Yes, they're independent too. Exactly.
Whereas તમે ને હું છું, we are a combination of the two.
Yeah, true.
Yeah?
Yeah.
ત્યારે મોક્ષમાં હોય તો it's only just one.
Yeah.
They're independent of each other.
Yes.
They exist in the space, but they're independent of each other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's why we say કે જ્યાર સુધી આપણે શરીર છે ત્યાર સુધી આપણે દુઃખ છે.
Exactly. Yeah.
અને જીવમાં શરીર મોક્ષમાં જીવ છે પણ શરીર નથી એટલે દુઃખની વાત જ નથી.
હા, કારણ કે સ્વભાવથી જ જીવ છે, આત્મા છે, એ જ્ઞાન અને આનંદ સ્વભાવથી એનો that is the very nature of it. અને જ્ઞાન itself is સુખ or આનંદ.
So that's what I was saying, કે am I adding up 2 and 2 and coming up with 7, saying કે the dharmastika and adharmastika exists in Lokakash because we have the Pudgal and the body of union of body and Jeev. Whereas in outside Lokakash, there isn't this union.
No. Moksha, Siddhshila is still within Lokakash.
It is still within Lokakash.
Ah.
Okay.
It is not beyond Lokakash because the soul, if you looked at that diagram, it says that it actually, let me just, one second, share again. I think let's spend some time there. So if you look at the top of that six-sided structure, at the top, what it shows is there's a horizontal line and then there are curved lines.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So the Siddhshila in the shape of a crescent, it is basically a disc. It's 45 lakh yojan. So thick in the middle and then spreads out. When the soul goes to moksha from anywhere within Adidvip, it goes straight up and it comes to a stop at the border of Lokakash and Alokakash. And so Siddhshila is within Lokakash, so it goes straight up onto Siddhshila and comes to a stop and then stays there permanently.
Okay.
So within the Lokakash. So nothing moves beyond Lokakash.
Okay. So basically what we're saying is, as we know it, Lokakash is the complete area.
Yeah, it's a complete finite, so the whole universe. So if you somebody asks you what is the size of the universe, well, the size is Chaud Rajulo Pramana, but
Mhm,
the shape, the universe is shaped like this.
mhm, 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 mhm. Okay.
But I mean, the distances, I mean, in terms of comparing that with modern science, we are looking at distances that are beyond the concept of what science is describing.
Mhm,
So this Pistalis lakh yojan that is being described, one
mhm,
yojan in that context is about 4,000 miles.
mhm, mhm. Okay, and the other thing is, I missed a couple of lessons previously, and I haven't had a chance to listen to what was discussed
Mhm.
or what was taught.
Mhm.
અને આપણે જે ભાવ કહીએ છે, is that the same આપણે જે કહીએ કે આને ભાવ બહુ છે ભગવાન પ્રત્યે, is this a different ભાવ?
No, bhav is used in different contexts.
Okay, okay,
Bhav in
okay,
that context is an sort of an emotion,
okay, okay,
and bhav in this context is nature. So, I mean, in Gujarati, Sanskrit, each word can have different meanings depending on the context. Dravya, kshetra, kaad, bhav.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So our context now, what do we mean by bhav? Sorry, you have probably explained this before, but I'm asking again now.
Yeah. So in this context, if you go, it's nature. So if you say six dravya, bhavthi dharmastikai arupi che, adharmastikai arupi che, akashistikai arupi che, pudgalistikai rupi che, jivastikai arupi che, when it is independent, and a card is arupi. So bhavthi, dravya kshetra card bhav, in this context, it is whether it is visible or invisible.
Okay, okay,
Rupi
okay,
ke
okay,
arupi. Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Hope that has helped other people if there have been any doubts. I'm glad you asked those questions because that helps clarify your understanding. And thank you for sharing. So, what I'd like to urge everybody is that there are no silly questions. So, if there are any doubts, please feel free to ask because that is how your concepts will get clearer. Thank you, Nick.
Pranam Ajitbhai. There's just
બોલો.
one general question. આપણે Jain universe,
Mhm.
where is actually our Earth situated in the middle? Is on the left, right?
મતલબ આપણું જે અત્યારે જ્યાં આપણે રહીએ છીએ એ ભરત ક્ષેત્ર કહેવાય.
Bharat Kshetra, yes.
જંબુદ્વીપ જે મધ્યલોકમાં the central mass of land is called Jambudvip, and we are in what is called Dakshin Bharat. Dakshin means south.
South, okay, south.
So we are in Bharat Kshetra, which is at the southern end of Jambudvip, which the shape of Jambudvip is like thali akar.
It's around, yeah.
Thali. And its total diameter, north, south, east, west, if you look at it on a flat surface, is 1,00,000 yojan, meaning 100,000 yojans. Jambudvip is 1,00,000 yojan. Bharat Kshetra is only about 526 yojans out of that. The universe, the world as we know it, as it is described, we would say, if you remember the geography lessons that we learned, it says that the diameter of the earth is 8,000 miles. And the circumference, because the geography describes the earth as a floating body, whereas Jain Dharma describes all the land masses as centrally in the middle, and the Jyotish chakra, sun, moon, etc., revolving round
The sun, not the moon.
Yes, not the other way around as science is describing. So there is a different concept. And again, in terms of how do we explain this and how do we actually accept what is being described, there some of our great Acharya Maharaj have spent a long time uh, trying to prove in what context. And I don't know whether it still exists, but there used to be flat earth society. It may still
Yeah.
have this.
Yeah.
So
It's in America, the Flat Earth Society.
yeah,
There's a lot of conferences about it. They said it is Earth is fixed. It's just moving. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ajitbhai.
So 526 yojans, 526 multiplied by 4,000 is the total north-south length of Parakshetra, out of which we only know about the 8,000 miles.
Yeah.
So that means only 2 yojans out of that is what we know.
You know. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, are there 5 Bharat Kshetras?
Yes. So within Adidvip, there are 5 Bharat Kshetras, and not, I mean, there are Bharat Kshetras in Katki Khand and the half Puskara Vartadvip. So when we go into the details of that, which we probably won't with this particular topic, but those 5 Bharat Kshetras, 5 Airavat Kshetras, and 5 Mahavide Kshetras. In total, there are 15 kshetras like this, and those are called karma bhumis, where Tirthankar Paramatmas get born.
So the next, I mean, the other Bharat Kshetras, are they nearby here or?
They are not within the Jambu Dvip.
Oh,
So at the opposite end of Jambu Dvip, there is Airavat Kshetra. Bharat, am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
So
on the,
yeah, so
you can say we are in the south. They're in the
we are in
north.
the south and they are in the north. Yeah. So there is one Bharat, one Airavat. Then in the middle there are Mahavide Kshetra, and then there are other Kshetras in the middle in Jambudvip.
okay. So Bharat, all the Bharat Kshetras are not nearby. They are different.
No, they're
Oh,
not nearby. No.
okay.
But the Bharat and the Airavat Kshetras are similar in terms of the way the time functions there. So Utsarpini, and the 24 Tirthankars, they're similar in that context. Whereas Mahavide Kshetra is constantly, in terms of time, it is similar to our fourth hara. It is always like that in all Mahavide Kshetras.
Okay.
And each Mahavide Kshetra is divided into Vijayas. So each Vijay functions like one Bharat Kshetros, something like that. So for example, Mahavide Kshetra has 32 Vijayas, and in each Vijay you can have a Tirthankar Paramatma. So at one time coexisting, in total you can have 32 times 560 Tirthankars in the Mahavide Kshetra, one in each of Bharat and one in each of Airavat Kshetras. So in total, at any one time, you can have a maximum of 170 Tirthankar Paramatmas simultaneously. And that happened at the time of Bhagwan Ajitnath, our second Tirthankar. At that time, in total, there were 170 Tirthankars in the universe.
Okay. Yeah, I've just thought about what we talked about earlier and last week as well regarding the Dharmastikai and Adharmastikai. And I think what these adharma, according to me, as far as I can understand, in terms of physics, they are motion. They are it's basically forces relating to forces like gravitational force, centripetal force, and uh, quantum particles. So basically, they enable the movement and stop the movement.
So when you use the term Sandeep, particles, we are talking about matter, whereas
Matter.
dharmastikai, adharmastikai are not actually matter.
Uh,
And they are not in those terms forces, they are just enablers. They don't actually uh, stimulate or propagate bodies. They are mediums through which bodies can move, or a medium through which body can stay still.
right. Okay, so
So
all the other experiments which were done, I think, is to do with the motion rather than, I mean, to do with the forces
yeah,
rather
okay.
than
So yeah. So
the
again, those studies are about material. So forces, matter and energy. So the same thing as Putkal.
yeah.
So Hasmukh Bhai, you're asking Tatvar Sutra, Vinod Bhai Kapas is there PDF available? I don't know, but maybe we can find out. Uh, and you're also asking at some stage whether we'll explain Chaudhara. Yes, we will, but let me see at what time that is appropriate. So it may not happen soon, but we're going through uh, chapters slowly. Okay. Mira has sent some YouTube link. So if you want to, I don't know what it's about, but
Sorry,
yeah,
yes, Ajitbhai, I'm just writing a message. There was a talk on Jain cosmology last year at the SOAS at the Pure Soul exhibition. So this
yes,
is just
I
a
know.
link to the Jain cosmology talk by Shittal Shah.
Sure, yes.
So
I remember that,
if
yeah.
anyone wants to learn a bit more, this is quite a good talk for and it explains the universe in kind of in a 3D dimension for anyone who's interested.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And Mira, that is the link for that talk, is it?
Yes, in the chat.
In the chat. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, shall we bring this to an end today?
Thank you very much, Ajitbhai. This is really, really useful because I understand the Nav Tatva Prakran is only 61 gathas,
Yes, yes.
but it says such a lot. So thank you for explaining.
Yeah, we're going through that. I'm studying with you, and we're learning together. And I hope that I'm not making any mistakes. And I'm grateful that we got scholars like Bharat Bhai who are with us, and yourself and Nick for asking difficult questions. So I'm grateful to all of you. Uh, and thank you very much for enabling my study as well. But one of the things that I really wanted to talk about today, but maybe we'll share at some stage in terms of an insight into who we are and the nature of Gnan and Sukh. There is a brilliant lecture. It completely opens up your understanding of things in Gujarati by Param Pujya Panyas Labdhi Vallabh Vijayji that I delivered about maybe 4 or 5 days ago. And like all his vyakhyans, it opens up a topic from a different angle and expands our understanding. So at some stage, maybe we can listen to part of it in one of our classes. But if I've said anything that is against the teachings of our Tirthankar Paramatmas, our Guru Bhagwans, and our Dharma, I ask for forgiveness. Chinagna Virudh Kaimpan Bolio, Tesavim Manocharan Kaya Kari, Tasmichami Dukudam. Suramangalam Mangalyam, Surakalyan Karanam, Pradhanam Surudharmanam, Jainam Jayati Sasanam. Thank you all.
Pranam Ajitbhai, thank you.
Pranam
Thank
to
you,
Bharat
Ajit
Bhai.
Bhai. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Pranam, Ajitbhai, thank you.
Pranam. Thank you.
Um, Pranam Ajitbhai.
Pranam. Thank you. Hi. Okay. So.